This incident happened somewhere in Saudi Arabia, on the quiet outskirts of Riyadh. The area was not empty, but it was not crowded either. There were wide roads, beige-colored villas, small grocery shops, and mosques where the call to prayer echoed clearly through the streets. My name is Nabil. At that time, I was helping my friend Samir with rental properties. Samir worked with families who were looking for houses. I was only helping him part-time. One evening, a family contacted us. They said they needed a house urgently. The man's name was Fahad. He came with his wife Mariam, 2 children, his younger sister, and an old woman he introduced as his mother. They looked like a normal family. Fahad spoke politely. Mariam barely spoke at all. The children stayed close to their mother. But there was one thing strange from the beginning. Fahad did not ask much about rent. He did not ask about nearby schools. He did not even ask about the market. He only asked one question. Is the upper floor completely separate? Samir showed them a few houses. After looking at 4 or 5 places, they selected an old villa in a quiet lane near the edge of the city. The owner, Abu Khalid, lived on the ground floor. The upper floor had been empty for many months. The family shifted in within 2 days. At first, everything seemed fine. Fahad greeted everyone. He smiled at the neighbors. He prayed at the nearby mosque sometimes. And whenever someone asked if they needed anything, he always said, "No, thank you. We are comfortable." But they never invited anyone inside. Not once. The curtains of the upper floor stayed closed even during the day. At night, only one dim yellow light could be seen from behind the balcony window. About 3 weeks later, Abu Khalid met me after Isha prayer. He looked tired. His eyes were heavy, like he had not slept properly. He said, "Nabil, do you know that family upstairs?" I said, "Not personally. They came through Samir's work. Why?" He looked around before speaking. Then he said quietly, "There is something wrong with them." I tried to laugh it off. "Uncle, maybe they just like privacy." But Abu Khalid did not smile. He leaned closer and said, "Every night, around 3 or 4, I hear goats crying upstairs." I stared at him. "Goats?" He nodded. I said, "But uncle, how can they keep goats on the upper floor? You would see them. You would smell them." He said, "That is what I am telling you. In the morning there is nothing. No animal, no smell, nothing." Then he added something that made my chest feel heavy. "The sound comes from inside their rooms." I told him to record it next time. Honestly, I thought maybe he was mistaken. Maybe the sound was coming from another villa. Maybe it was from the street. Maybe it was only his imagination. But 2 nights later, he sent me a video. The screen was almost black. At first, I heard only the ceiling fan. Then suddenly, a goat cried. Not like a normal goat. It sounded trapped. It sounded scared. And behind that sound, there was something else. A low voice. Almost like someone was reciting words slowly. I replayed the video 3 times. Samir was sitting beside me. After listening, he looked at me and said, "Nabil, this is not normal." The next day, we went to the villa. Fahad opened the door only halfway. He smiled the same polite smile. "Yes, brothers? Everything okay?" I said, "We were nearby, so we came to check if everything is fine with the house." He did not move from the doorway. Behind him, the upstairs hall was dark, very dark, even though it was afternoon. Then I noticed something near his feet, a red thread. It was tied around the door handle from the inside. On the floor, there were small black stains. Maybe it was dirt. Maybe it was something else. Before I could look properly, Fahad stepped forward and blocked my view. He said, "Everything is fine. We will call you if we need anything." Then he closed the door. On the way back, Samir told me another strange thing. He said, "They never pay rent from the same account. First month cash, second month transfer from one name, third month another account." That made me uncomfortable. After that, more neighbors started noticing things. One man said he smelled burning oil after midnight. A woman said she heard furniture dragging upstairs when the family was supposedly outside. A young boy said he saw someone standing on the balcony at 2 a.m. He said the person was covered in black, and they were not moving, just staring down at the street. Abu Khalid finally decided to speak to Fahad. He went upstairs and knocked. Fahad opened the door. Abu Khalid said, "My son, people are complaining. If there is something in the house, tell me." Fahad kept smiling. "There is nothing, uncle. People imagine things." Abu Khalid said, "Then let me come inside." For the first time, Fahad's smile disappeared. He said, "My family is inside. It is not possible." Then he closed the door. That night, the sounds came again, but this time they were louder. Abu Khalid called the police. When the officers arrived, Fahad opened the door calmly. His wife was sitting on the floor with the children. The old woman was in the corner, looking down. The police checked the house. They found nothing. No goat, no blood, no proof. Only a strong smell of incense. One officer asked Fahad, "Why are the neighbors hearing animals?" Fahad answered softly, "Maybe from outside. We are a simple family." The police could not do anything. Before leaving, one officer quietly told Abu Khalid, "Keep watch. If anything happens again, call us immediately." The next morning, everything changed. The family was gone. No one saw them leave. No truck came. No bags were carried down. No taxi was seen outside the villa. The main door upstairs was locked from the outside. Abu Khalid called Samir. Samir called me. And within 1 hour, we were standing outside that villa with the police. When the lock was broken, the first thing that came out was the smell. Burnt incense, old oil, damp clothes, and something rotten. The hall was dark. All the curtains were closed. The air felt heavy. On the walls, there were black marks made with charcoal. In one corner, red threads were tied around small nails. There were broken clay bowls on the floor, and near the window, there were pieces of animal hair. But still, no goat. In the second room, the police found children's toys arranged in a circle. In the middle of that circle was an old mirror. The mirror was cracked from the center. One officer touched it and pulled his hand back immediately. He looked confused. Then he said, "This mirror is warm." Everyone became silent. Abu Khalid whispered, "But they left last night." No one answered. In the kitchen, plates were still on the floor. Tea was still inside the kettle. One small child's sandal was lying near the door. It looked like the family had left in a hurry, or maybe they had not left by choice. The police tried to trace Fahad's number. It was switched off. They checked the bank accounts. Different names, different IDs, no clear address. The documents they had given to rent the house were fake. No one knew who they really were, and no one knew where they went. After that incident, Abu Khalid locked the upper floor. For months, nobody entered. But the strange part is this: the sounds did not stop. Some nights, people still heard footsteps above. Sometimes they heard something dragging across the floor. And sometimes, around 3 or 4 in the morning, they heard the goat again. Months later, I passed by that same lane. It was after Maghrib. The sky was dark blue, and the streetlights had just turned on. I do not know why, but I looked up at the balcony. The curtains moved, just a little, but the upper floor was locked. No one was supposed to be inside. I stopped walking. For a few seconds, everything around me became silent. Then, from inside the empty floor, I heard a whisper. Nabil. I did not wait. I walked away without looking back. And to this day, nobody knows who that family was. Nobody knows what they were doing inside that house. And nobody knows why, even after they disappeared, the goat still cries upstairs.